we all come together as a spiritual family. Let's unite as we all come together on this caravan of unity. Let's unite as we all come together as a spiritual family. Let's unite as we all come together on this caravan of unity. Hey, it's a caravan, caravan, caravan of unity. We on a mission, yes, we on a mission. Caravan, caravan, caravan of unity. We on a mission, yes, we on a mission. Caravan, caravan, caravan of unity. We on a mission, yes, we on a mission. Caravan, caravan, caravan of unity. We on a mission, yes, we on a mission.
Welcome to the Caravan of Unity from Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado. I'm Rachel Morrison.
And I'm Cease Foster.
And today we are so excited to share our time with you and go through an amazing experience of remembering what's happened so far in the Caravan of Unity. We started out in San Francisco and made our way all the way to Colorado with meeting some amazing friends along the way. And in today's segment, we're going to be talking with some of our friends and neighbors in the Boulder, Denver, Northern Colorado area, and hear some good news in the world and what people are doing out here and what hearts want to be shared in this moment. So it's so great to be with each and every one of you.
Absolutely. And I just want to speak from my heart. It's so amazing to be a witness to all that's happened online in bringing people together, the Caravan of Unity moving across the United States, celebrating and really diving deep into our indigenous roots, what's happened in our country and in our history. It's also been really amazing to see people from so many organizations coming together as one. That's what we are here for, and it is just such a blessing to be a witness to something like this, especially considering all that's happened in these last few months as we've been quarantined, as we've watched
racial injustice.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. How did you know?
It's a thing.
So, and there's just so much happening in the world right now. So it really is this piece that we'll be going into after this. It really speaks to something I think is very deep. And that is that we must heal our own hearts. What happens within us, the healing that we do for ourselves, the forgiveness work that we do within ourselves actually impacts the world. That is the only way we can do this. We are one. We live in a unified universe. We share one collective heart, one mind. So as you change your heart, as I change my heart, as we change our mind, change our thoughts about things, the world begins to reflect those changes within. So I'm just so glad that you've tuned in, that so many people are coming together in this way. It makes my heart really happy. And it's such a rush to be here on planet Earth at this time in history. So love to you all, and back over to you, Rachel.
Thanks, Cease. Okay, guys, you have seen some amazing footage so far, some amazing interviews, some music, and right now we're about to go into some time of some deep ceremony with our friends from the Boulder, Denver areas. And it's so great to be able to share this profound moment of healing, of regeneration, and clear the slate so that we can open up to the best of our imagination as we create this new world together. So without further ado, let's get started.
I'm Dr. Anita Sanchez, and I'm so excited because the Caravan of Unity is here.
Yes, Caravan, Caravan, Caravan of Unity. We're on a mission. Yes, we're on a mission. Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder, Colorado, and a great place for missions.
Oh.
We're all about movements, missions, creating positive change in the world.
Yes, and what a place. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
If you don't feel the God here, you don't get to feel it anywhere. What a joy to be here, Anita.
Well, thank you for coming. We are really delighted.
It's been quite an adventure.
I
NorCal,
bet.
Southern Cal, Vegas, on to Carbondale, and now here to Boulder. Whoosh! And we
Yes.
have a presentation for you.
Well, I noticed
You
this.
noticed it
This
was
is
there?
beautiful.
Well, not only is it here, but it gets to stay here. This is for you, for holding
Oh.
space here for all of this, from our dear friends at the May Peace Prevail on Earth International, gifting you with this peace pole so that you'll always have that memory of this and all the good works that this organization and your organization are doing.
Well, I accept this peace pole, but I want to let you know that it's so special, as it is everywhere, on this land. So I can feel the elders smiling. We do lots of healing ceremonies here, and I can feel its presence already before we do everything we're going to do today, right?
Yes.
So thank you so much. I so love it, and it does have a home here. We all will honor it.
And perfect timing, because up next is you with the acknowledging of the land. And now
Yes.
the peace pole gets to be included in that. Thank you so much for all of us, Unity Earth, Caravan of Unity, and all the groups that are involved in making this happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. And thank you, everyone, for being here. It's so exciting for us. This land calls out to everyone. Boulder is a very special place, like many, but there is a really caring, a wanting here. And as we know, every community owes its existence, its vitality to our one mother, the Mother Earth that I'm standing on, and to our ancestors. And so I would like us to begin just all acknowledging, wherever you all are, acknowledge the people, the first indigenous people who are there of that land. Here on this land in Boulder, the first peoples are the peoples of the Arapaho Nation, the Cheyenne Nation, and the nation. And the wind is picking up. I can feel their presence here, as they always are here. And it's not just ancestors past, but present and all their descendants. And I'm so excited because you're going to be able to hear the truth from various of the descendants during our time together. And so there's just great gratitude for all the ancestors and their descendants, and that we know our mission here, as Peter so gaily, with great fanfare spoke of, is that it's about unity and peace, and that we know that true unity and peace cannot happen without us healing the legacies of violence, of destruction, of migration, of displacement, and on. But we're up for that. Human beings are awakening everywhere. So with that, again, I just want to give gratitude to this land, to Mother Earth, to the Cheyenne, the Arapaho, the Ute, and just take in the breath of this amazing air. Give to the land that we're standing on. And as you can see from this view, the mountains that embrace us and the water that runs through this mountain. Welcome to all of you. I have to take a deep breath, because I'm about to introduce a most honorable elder, Chief Brother Phil Lane Jr. His family and mine have for decades had a relationship. I owe great debt to his father and his mother, who were there, like they were for all Indigenous youth, to help us, to share their wisdom along the way. But let me share something about Brother Phil, and I need a card because there's so much to share about Brother Phil. He is a Dakota and Chickasaw elder and of those nations. He's a recognized leader all over the world. He has traveled all over the world, and his leadership is in focusing on humanity, community, and economic development. For 53 plus years, Phil has worked with Indigenous people and bridging to other people all over the world. He is particularly known in Latin America and speaks amazing Spanish. He has 16 years. He was a professor in Canada in education at the University of Lethbridge. In 1982, he founded the Four Worlds International Institute that is vibrant, alive, and doing so much good in the world. And he did that with Indigenous elders and spiritual leaders. Phil is now currently chairman of the Four Directions International and the Compassion Games. And he sits as a leader in the Wisdom Council for the Tipping Point System. I wouldn't have enough cards. All the awards that Phil has earned, and including the first Indigenous person to win the WinStar Award, the John Denver Award. And the one that I want to end with in terms of award is that in 2008, he was given the Ally Award for the Center for Healing Racism. This healing that he has done from the residential schools that Indigenous children were forced to live in, and horrific things happen to them. He has done healing, and he has an amazing film called Healing the Hurts, and has helped not only the Indigenous people in Canada and the rest of America, but all over the world to do their healing. I'm so grateful to him, if you can't tell by this introduction. He currently sits on the Council of Elders of ACES, American Indian Science and Engineering Society, and he gives classes through the Shift Network. And I just want to say, I've taken his classes. I fortunately get to see him in a number of places. And my softest part of my ears, I listen to hear his wisdom and the prophecies that he shares, not just for the past, but these healings and understanding is for how we live in right relationship today and tomorrow. So with that, the invocation, the welcoming blessing, I give to you, Chief Brother Phil Lane Jr.
Yakiepi, my very, very beloved members of our human family. We are here today to look deeply, deeply, deeply into the atrocities unspeakable that occurred on November 29th, 1864, at the Sand Creek Massacre. I want to thank my beloved aunt, Dr. Henrietta Mann, for inviting me at this time to come while our Arapaho and Cheyenne relatives are in deep grieving, as we were at this time. And this prayer is not just about Sand Creek and what happened there, but the events that it set off, in which thousands of people died, innocent people died. I also want to remember in this prayer, dear Captain Sule and Kramer, who stood up, as all have done in our battles. A few have always stood up against the oppressor and stood up and refused to go through the orders of Methodist minister Colonel Shivington as he left Denver with the sole purpose of massacring, killing innocent relatives, black cattle who had standing before him, by him, an American flag and a flag of truce, who is known throughout the plains as a man of great peace. O Tenkashla Wakantaga, creator of the universe, most beloved one, all-powerful one, most kind one, most compassionate, ever forgiving one. We call the power of this life to come here. All those relatives, past, present, and future, to come at this place, at this time, in our hearts today. May we look deeply inside ourselves to understand how can human beings treat each other with such atrocity, such cruelty. And Creator, we just really remember all those relatives who have died across this Turtle Island for complete innocence of being simply in the way of progress. We call upon all those tribes near the east from where comes a new bright red sunrise to come together in unity and harmony, healing, and to honor our relatives who lost their lives at Sand Creek and the massacred, whoever they were, and all that followed for this act of violence and cruelty right to Wounded Knee. There's so many more of them massacred, and we call upon all those tribes beneath the south from where comes new life to come together in unity and harmony and healing, to look deeply into our souls and hearts, be ensured there's not one lingering feeling of this kind of atrocity feeling that led to what's happened. Wakantaga, creator of the universe, we call upon all those tribes in the west. From where comes thunder, lightning, and rain to come together in unity and harmony and awaken our hearts and minds to the reality in which we stand today so we might arise as prophesied. And Takashila Wakanta, creator of the universe, most beloved, when we call upon all those tribes of the nation of the north, from where comes the white snow. We ask, Creator, that the north winds, the purifying north winds might purify our hearts and minds, so we might understand what occurred in these places all over the world where people have massacred other human beings, that it may never happen again, ever, in all time. In Wakantaga, we call upon all the masculine dimension of life, our grandfathers, fathers, sons, brothers, husbands, grandsons. I ask your forgiveness, Creator, for all of us, for our awkward ways. We ask we might arise at this time and truly understand the one wing of the eagle is man, and stand there in strength and honor of the womankind, who are the second wing of that eagle, in unity and harmony. So we give thanksgiving this day for Father Sky and Mother Earth, and then to ourselves, that your holy power might cleanse our hearts and minds. My first counsel is this: possess a pure, kindly, and radiant heart, that yours may be a sovereignty, ancient and everlasting. Thank you, Creator. You are the ever-forgiving. You are the omnipotent. You are the ancient of ways and days. And we give you thanksgiving because you are the most compassionate. And we ask that compassion, love, and forgiveness enter into each one of our hearts. My names are Shunkmano and Chinupasapa, and I stand responsible before the Creator for my words and my actions.
Brother Phil, Chief Phil Lane Jr., he always speaks in such an honorable and energetic way and grounds you like in the earth and spirit over and over again. I'm so grateful for him and for setting the tone for this. And Deb, I'm so been waiting to hear. I know that you went to Sand Creek. Can you tell us about that?
Wow, it was an amazing experience because it was being immersed in something that was Colorado's saddest day in our whole history. And it really stimulated for me like 3 particularly potent dreams of, could I handle the horror, first of all, that was there? Was I strong enough? Was I grounded enough? I don't know exactly the words, but could I? And in that dream, it was like some kind of rite of passage to be able to do this story. And the next one was the sense of like coming out of that rite of passage was a sense of freedom, of connecting with the ancestors there that I've never experienced before. So it was liberating for me. Again, it's like what was happening there was changing me. Yes. So it's been just such a wonderful personal journey. And then the last dream was really about, we are wonderful. It is our descendants that we want you to give time to. It was like, this is where the power is now and the focus to be. And so all of that really has informed how all of this has come together with the indigenous ceremony, and then later on the personal healing experiences. So it's been wonderful. And the other message I got when I was there was finding a video that could communicate very quickly and briefly the original experience of the Sand Creek Massacre and some level of healing in the journey that has happened, and how also we continue. There's still more healing, and especially, as several of you Indigenous leaders will be talking more about, is there's still more to go and what that looks like. And so we now have a video to show you what happened.
As the Colorado Territory grew in the mid-1800s, an increasingly scarce supply of food and fuel, along with disputes over land, escalated tensions between the settlers and Native American tribes. In autumn of 1864, Cheyenne and Arapaho chiefs met with Territorial Governor John Evans and military officers at the Camp Weld Council in Denver in an effort to make peace. Weeks later, Cheyenne chiefs Black Kettle and White Antelope were told their people could camp with the Arapaho near Fort Lyon and would be considered friendly. By November, though, conditions precluded the tribes from camping near the fort. Nearly all Cheyenne, as well as a small camp of Arapaho, moved to nearby Sand Creek. In the quiet before dawn on November 29, 1864, Colorado volunteer soldiers attacked the Sand Creek encampment of more than 600 people. Chief Black Kettle raised an American flag. He had been assured this action would protect his people from attack by U.S. soldiers. Chief White Antelope sang his journey song. White Antelope and nearly 200 other Indians, mostly women and children, were killed in the attack, which would become known as the Sand Creek Massacre. The event profoundly affected U.S. Indian relations and the structure of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes for generations to come. Sand Creek, the scene of unimaginable suffering and sacrifice, became sacred ground. November
Mother was here. She was 5 years old when she was here.
I am a descendant of White Antelope.
I'm a descendant of Chief Left Hand, who was here at the camp and later died of his wounds.
On my mother's side of the family were survivors of Sand Creek.
The exact site of the Sand Creek Massacre was obscured through time, even the descendants of the survivors. But the need for recognition and commemoration of the site was evident, and had already been too long in coming. Prior to the involvement of the National Park Service, Southern Cheyenne Chief Laird Komatsiva and his wife Colleen carried out research with Sand Creek Massacre descendants. In the mid-1990s, the Colorado Historical Society, Fort Lewis College, and the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes conducted archaeological site investigations, although the results were incomplete. Participate in the process.
The effort started in 1998 with a congressional directive for the Park Service to work together with the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes and the state of Colorado to conclusively locate the site of the Sand Creek Massacre and then to recommend its suitability for inclusion in the national park system.
The bill, sponsored by Colorado Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell, is known as the Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site Study Act. In 1999, a Sand Creek Massacre project team and other researchers set off to piece together answers. Team members recorded oral histories of the Cheyenne and Arapaho to help identify the location of the massacre site. Historians also searched archives for the story of Sand Creek in maps, testimonies from soldiers and Indians, newspaper articles, and historic photos. The land itself provided many answers. The team was successful in identifying a boundary roughly 5 miles in length and 2 miles wide where the massacre likely took place. The Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site was officially authorized on November 7, 2000. In the summer of 2005, Public Law 109-45 authorized the Secretary of Interior to accept trust responsibility for 1,465 acres within the site, currently owned by the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes of Oklahoma. This area, the former Dawson Ranch, was acquired by the tribes in 2003. On April 28, 2007, the National Park Service and many partners held a ceremony officially dedicating the Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site in Kiowa County, Colorado. Tribal, federal, state, and local dignitaries reflected on the significance of the day and the site. Many descendants of the survivors came to honor their ancestors.
I ask you to close your eyes for a moment and think of a place where people gather. A place that's peaceful, a place where people sleep, people eat, get along with one another, where there's laughter, a place where people gather to talk, to tell stories, and to learn. A place, a community, where everyone feels safe. A place where flags fly, to let everybody know that this is such a place. Now imagine gunshots. Imagine panic. A once peaceful place in an instant turned into chaos. Imagine the cries and pleas for mercy. Imagine the attempts of escape only to be met with more gunshots. What I'm describing here are the events that happened over 140 years ago, here, at this place, at this site, on this land.
I am a descendant of white antelope. A lot of us are somehow related to a lot of the people who died there. I hope that it becomes a place of reverence, a place of renewal.
I speak on behalf of the people of the state of Colorado who think that it is, number one, fitting that we have a memorial here. Some would say it's been too long. It should have happened sooner. I would add my voice to that. On behalf of the people of the state, we remember today the massacre, the tragedies, and really the indignities.
You can sense the wounds that still ache in connection with Sand Creek. It's an all too vivid reminder of what happens in America when we don't treat people like people. Spilling of innocent blood here is a gross sin that pollutes the land, and we must acknowledge it and repent of it.
Last night, I stayed in camp, the actual location of where most of the terrible, tragic killings took place. And if you remember last night, it was clear, it was beautiful, there was about a 3/4 moon. I wanted to kind of get a picture of how people must have felt when they were there on November the 28th of 1864. And that night before the tragedy must have been so placid that I think that they were totally disarmed, emotionally disarmed.
My grandmother was here. She was 5 years old when she was here. Her name was Lawnface. And she survived, and then 4 years later, she was at Ouachita. She would have been 8 years old. And without her will to live, will to survive, I wouldn't be here today.
There's a lot of family here that was here. And when the flag came marching in, the grand entry, I felt really emotional because they were singing our flag songs, the Cheyenne and Arapaho. Because that day, the flag also was flying at Sand Creek.
You see, when chiefs are seated, They're given all the people as their own children. And so like a loving father, Black Kettle wanted his children, his people, safe from harm. He placed his trust in the U.S. military and the U.S. flag, and it looked a lot like that. He trusted that his Cheyenne were under their protection, and that trust was betrayed. Betrayed.
I am married to Rock Red Cherries, who had a great-grandmother that was involved in this at that time. She was just a little girl, and she was laying in a teepee asleep, and they all got up early in the morning, and they were all running out of their teepees, and they left her. She was laying asleep, and she woke up and heard all this noise, and she jumped up, and she went out of the teepee and was standing out there crying because everybody was gone and they were going. She could see them running in the other direction, and she was standing there crying, and one of the other ladies seen her, ran back, grabbed her, and pulled her along with the crowd, and that's how she survived. She was about 2 years old.
The survivors witnessed unimaginable acts of savagery that still brings tears to our eyes, even at this moment. I was unsure how to approach this event, and then at a moment of clarity, I remembered the voices of my tribal elders who continue to emphasize the importance of grounding ourselves in our own teachings, in our own perspectives, in order to make sense of a world that has seemingly gone off course. We must remember who we are, where we come from, and rely heavily on the spiritual guidance shared with us throughout our lives by our spiritual leaders.
Today's intent was humble.
When I was on my way here today, I was sitting with my granddaughter, and I sat and explained to her why we were here today as a National Historical Site. In my heart, I was kind of feeling sad to tell her what had happened here. But at the same time, she needs to know where she come from, where her ancestors had died for us to be here.
Native people remember and memorialize the struggles of their ancestors at Sand Creek, Washita, and Wounded Knee. Places now sanctified because of those sacrifices. Every society needs these kinds of sacred places because they help instill a sense of social cohesion in a people and remind them of the passions of generations that have brought them to the present. A society that cannot remember and honor its past is in peril of losing its soul. That was said by the late Vine Deloria.
Today's been a sad occasion, but it's also been a respectful and honorable occasion to honor and memorialize and remember the ancestors that not only lost their lives here tragically, but also to honor their spirit that is still here with us today.
Everybody here today is here for a purpose and by design. They're fulfilling something that may have happened in their parents, grandparents past, or maybe for their children that are yet to come.
After speeches by dignitaries and a closing prayer, This day of reflection and commemoration continued with a spiritual healing run.
I hope that this will be a place that people from throughout the world will come to visit and learn about respect, and a place that the Cheyenne and Arapaho people can feel that they can come and always feel at home here, a place where they can reconnect with their ancestors and put some of the pain of the last 143 years to rest.
We struggled to live, and we're still here because we struggled and our spirits were strong. That's why we're still here. And I believe that when God puts something down, He does it, it stays. He put us here, and we're still here.
Later in the day, the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes held a traditional gathering with honor songs and dances at the Kiowa County Fairgrounds.
Now we can heal the wound that is here. This is what I would consider part of the medicine that is needed to heal that deep wound.
It's a very tragic history here, but today's activities tells me and many others that there are efforts being made to address this. There is this collective historical sense of denial on America's part. And, this happens simply because racism was alive and well in this part of the country. I like to think it's getting better.
They can draw their own conclusions, and I think that's the importance of that place. They can go there and draw their own conclusions.
Yes, watching that video, it just takes me back there again. And I actually did go twice, even though it was a 7-hour drive round trip. It's so, it has so much feeling. It has so much feeling. It's like being there with them. It's like being right there. And it feels so helpless in the beginning when you understand it. It has been such a journey to be there, to really understand, to empathize and realize what that must be like to actually be a descendant.
Exactly. So I hurt for you, and I'm also happy for you, sister, that you went and you allowed yourself, as you always do, to really feel. And I know then you'll always get into action. And now we get the extreme, incredible honor of listening to Henrietta Mann, Dr. Henrietta Mann, who is a Cheyenne elder and also enrolled with the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes. I'm reading a card on her because there's so many great things. She's the founding president of Cheyenne and Arapaho Tribal College. She is the first to occupy an endowed chair for Native American Studies at Montana State University. And she continues there as a professor emeritus, and she's a special assistant advising the president of the university. She is a Native American education. She's been focused on that for more than 50 years. And in 2016, we all celebrated for Dr. Mann for she became one of only 2 Native American educational scholars ever to be elected to be a member of the National Academy of Education. I can still feel that pride in how many of us spoke about her as we were hearing the news. She's also a sought-after spiritual mentor, and that's what makes us, I hope you can feel just how honored we are to have her here. She's prayed at ceremonies all different places, ranging from New Zealand to Ground Zero and 9/11 to Stonehenge, Cape Canaveral, and on and on. And I want to share this. I want to get it right. Her great-grandmother, called White Buffalo Woman, used to hold her up as an infant, as if she was a pipe. And she would pray to the 4 directions, asking for long life and a successful future for Henrietta Mann. Well, her great-grandmother, she was right. And here is Dr. Henrietta Mann sharing her very personal experience, sharing once again, going into the pain of it, knowing that going through the pain, that she will call us to move forward, to do the healing, to come together in unity. I love you, Henrietta. And let's show Henrietta Mann now.
Pivi Shiv, her oyster on that nice chisivi, not sister, not have had done it. Not just the dochist, Hawaii, if I've it hard to man. Good day. I have said my Cheyenne name is Prayer Cloth Woman, and I am going to be talking about a tragedy that occurred in the life of the Cheyenne people, the hearted alike people, the people to whom I belong, the people who have given me an identity and a history and hope for tomorrow. I have a responsibility to them to tell their story. And this story is about the Sand Creek Massacre of November 29th, 1864. We'll go back before that to the negotiation of the second treaty that the Cheyenne people and the Arapaho, with whom we are allied, signed with the United States of America, sovereigns who entered into negotiations in much the same way that we sign treaties with foreign governments today. The Fort Laramie Treaty of 1851, which we know as the Great Horse Creek Treaty, provided us with our insistence to continued access of our ancestral homelands in the high plains of the North. And we agreed to let the, as we call them, as we were told by our prophet, that we would meet someday, that these strangers would come from where the sun rises, and they would bring their own ways with them. But ironically, they would see our beloved homelands and want those lands, and they would take them. Thus it happened in terms of the Great Treaty at Horse Creek, or the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1851. We agreed to let them have access to our hunting grounds as they went in their covered wagons from the Atlantic Ocean through the interior of our country west to the Pacific Ocean. We agreed to let them travel through our hunting grounds, where the wonderful, majestic animal who provided our every need roamed. We also reserved for our use a gigantic area of land that today straddles the current 4 states of Wyoming, Nebraska, Colorado, and Kansas, as well as the eastern front of the Rocky Mountains. We were huge land barons. We had managed to reserve our hunting grounds, and we continued to live as we had been instructed to do at creation when we were put upon this road of life to walk through with all the people who have ever lived, all of the Tsistais, the like-hearted people. It is a forever journey. There will be young people, new babies that will come to join us on this road of life as we go on back to the world of spirit. And so, having reserved that gigantic area of land, we continued to live in much the same way, although there was tension within the tribe based upon the numbers of covered wagons and the traffic through our hunting territories. In 1858, gold was discovered in Colorado territory. It wasn't quite a territory yet, but gold was discovered in Colorado. And of course, there were those that came seeking their fortunes. And that is where the slogan Pikes Peak or Bust came into existence. So there were those that did not go on into the sunset, but decided to stay in our territory. And more of these strangers settled in and on our hunting territories and decided finally that they wanted this land, just as Sweet Medicine had told us. And so these newly arrived immigrants decided to rid Colorado territory, 1861, of the land's original inhabitants. The hearted alike people were viewed as obstacles to the path of destiny, manifest destiny. And we just could not remain there. I mean, the settlers were also ordained by their God to subdue the land and to inhabit it. And tension in Colorado territory by the newly arrived gold seekers and the immigrants. He saw a beautiful, vast land with many resources, decided that all of the first peoples of this land had to be removed from the area. A man by the name of John Evans became the first governor of Colorado Territory, and he sent out a declaration that commanded the friendlies, so to speak, Indians to report to the nearest fort. Those that remained out were to be declared as hostiles and treated accordingly. And so the band in which my family traveled, the family of two of my great-grandmothers, were in the band of Black Kettle. Black Kettle is today hailed as the most peaceable of all Cheyenne peace chiefs. He's our peacemaker chief. And he took his band into Fort Lyon, to report in as friendly and was told by the military to go to camp along Sand Creek. There were also some Arapahoes under Little Raven and Left Hand who reported to the area, and Left Hand's band camped closer to Black Kettle's encampment. They were so happy because they thought they were at peace, having reported in as friendlies. But individuals who were leaders in this new Colorado territory that wanted to come into the Union as a state at some point in time had different plans. Governor John Evans and a former Methodist minister who had joined the military, John Milton Chivington, had already, between the two of them, decided that they were going to make sure that the Indians were removed, whether it was through treaty or by other means, from this new Colorado territory. And so the Cheyennes were very happy to be at Sand Creek. They thought they were at peace. And on the night of November 28th, 1864, the young people, for some reason, decided to stay up late and play games. And they were so happy, never dreaming that this former minister become military commander by the last name of Chivington was already on his way from Fort Lyons with about 700 men, among them the Colorado militia that were called the Bloodless Third, because they had not seen any military service since they had been assembled. And so their 100-day enlistment was about up. And so they were in under the command of Chivington. There was one Cheyenne woman who got up very early and looked and listened and thought that she heard a buffalo herd coming to the camp. And she looked, and instead of buffalo, there were the soldiers. There were the military. And she sent out the alarm, but by that time, Chivington and his men were already close to the camp and opened fire. Black Kettle, being the peace chief he was, got a very tall lodgepole and put the flag of the United States of America at the top, and beneath it a little white flag of peace. And he called his children, as all the Cheyennes were known in terms of their relationship to a chief. He called his children to come stand around him because he knew that the military would never fire at their own flag or a white flag of truce. Unfortunately, the flag and that white flag of peace did not stop the butchery that began. White Antelope, who had prior to that visited with the military in Washington, had been given a peace medal. And he ran out from the camp, and there were other chiefs with him, but he ran out and said in English, "Stop, stop." But Chivington and his men continued to fire. There were two military officers that refused to let their command shoot into the Cheyenne encampment. Silas Soule and Joseph Kramer made their men stand down, and they did not fire into the camp. But the bloodbath began, and a volley of fire hit White Antelope. And so he sang his death song, and his death song was, "Nothing lives long except the earth and the mountains." And he fell there. The bloodbath, a bloodbath, such savagery continued. Children, babies, infants or fetuses, if I should say, were cut from the wombs of their mother. The genitalia of the Cheyenne people were cut out and used as saddle horn covers, hat bands, tobacco pouches. And poor white antelope had his ears cut, his nose cut, his genitalia. And there was such savagery that these two men just watched in utter amazement that had told their men not to fire into the camp. A lot of Cheyennes fled, among them my great-grandmother, White Buffalo Woman. They fled into the Smoky Hill area where some of the other Cheyennes were encamped. And my other great-grandmother, Visitor, was found by her uncle with a pony. He threw her up on the pony, hit the flanks of that pony, and told her to flee to safety. She started out, but remembered that her little brother was still in camp, and she turned that pony and went back and searched for him, and very happily found him, pulled him up behind her on the horse, and then she turned the pony and they sped away. But in fleeing, she was hit by one of the bullets from the bloodlust third or the military, whichever it was, and carried that wound to her day. She survived, as did my other great-grandmother, White Buffalo Woman. One of the officers wrote in a report that there was a little toddler of 2 or 3 years of age who somehow got separated from his family, and he was walking down the bed of Sand Creek. And 3 soldiers saw him, and the first one said, "I am going to shoot that little S-O-B, a toddler, a baby, just learning to walk." He got down off his horse and aimed and missed. The second soldier said, "Let me get that little." Expletive again. And he shot and missed the little toddler walking away down the bed of Sand Creek. And the third soldier said, "Let me get him." And he aimed, and the little boy fell. There was a baby that was picked up when they were leaving the next day, an infant. And the infant was thrown into the back of the wagon. And as they went down the road, they became aware of the baby. And one of the men got out and took that infant and just threw it to the side of the road, and they went on, leaving that baby there. I mean, what brutality is it when people forget their humanity? And fetuses were cut from the wombs of their mothers. Fingers were cut off, toes, limbs, and scalps. As Shevington's men paraded into Denver, they wore their trophies from Sand Creek, human trophies. They carried the scalp locks of about 58 Cheyenne people. As they paraded into Denver City, as it was then called, and those human body parts were put on display at the Denver Apollo Theater in some of the saloons in town. Black Kettle lived because he, after the Great Treaty at Horse Creek, signed the Treaty of Fort Wise, and in that treaty gave up about 12/13 of our entire land area that we had reserved for our use in the Great Horse Creek Treaty in return for a small reservation in southeastern Colorado. The Dog Soldiers and the Northern Cheyennes did not agree with him. And so he took his band of about 50 teepees and brought them south into Indian territory. These are the stories that my two great-grandmothers who survived Sand Creek, although one was wounded visitor, passed down through the family. Stories of their encounter with the United States military, with individuals who had such greed for the land, who tried to take it all by treaty. But when they saw that they had an opportunity, Shevington, this Methodist minister, took his men, lost his relationship with his God, forgot about it, and led his men into one of the most savage encounters of the Indian Wars. I am so happy that my great-grandmother survived that attack, but I am so sad when I remember their experiences. Two teenagers, young women, who saw death at the hands of those strangers about whom Sweet Medicine had told us, who would come into our lands carrying a stick that spoke with the voice of thunder. And they used those sticks that day to mutilate, to massacre, to decimate, and all but completely exterminate the hearted alike people, the Cheyenne people, the Arapaho. So that is my story. There is a lot of injustice in this world. There is much that the country that we call the United States of America must do to create a world that is balanced and full of beauty, love, respect, and harmony. Thank you.
Wow.
Yes, I'm still catching my breath.
Yes.
I could just cry. And stronger still is just the incredible dignity and all the work and gifts she's given the world and all the descendants, all of us. So I'm happy that people are learning and listening and know that it's going to take some work, but together we're going to create what needs to do for all of us to thrive. And just so grateful to Henrietta. And it makes me just want to take another deep breath, because what's next, Deb? There's more.
Yes, it's quite a deepening today. And so next we're going to be talking, actually going to be listening to Constance Buffalo. And Constance, I'm so delighted that I get to introduce Constance, because she and I have been good friends for over 20 years. And so I know her as a real human being who is, she walks the talk. She lives what she teaches. And so I have such great respect for her. And you're going to be blown away by her sharing. It is very, very powerful. It made me cry again. And Constance is originally, her ancestral heritage is as a member of the Ojibwa and the Red Cliff Band of Chippewa. She's had many, many careers in things that are very diverse, like television and decontamination of buildings, and so many, many things. And yet now where she has arrived, she is the president of the Renaissance Project, whose goal is to teach ways to help people have meaningfulness and mutual understanding in their lives. And so now it is really with a great pleasure and honor to introduce Constance Buffalo.
Bonjour. Greetings, my friends. Sand Creek is meaningful for me not only for its important place in our history, but because of a profound experience that I had with it. I was traveling in the Colorado mountains and stopped in the small village of Kremling for the night. When I was at the registration desk of Bob's Motel, I had an intense sense of unease that I mentioned to the receptionist. Oh, she said it must be from the animal trophies hanging on the walls in the small office. But I felt it was something much sadder. I looked for the source, and the receptionist pointed out an old Indian quiver and bow on the wall by the front desk. I was curious to see hair hanging off the quiver and was shocked to be told that they were Indian scalps from Sand Creek. I could feel sorrow welling up inside me because I knew of the horrendous history of the Sand Creek massacre. I left overwhelmed by memories from the past. The barbarity against this peaceful camp at Sand Creek and the slaughter of women and children was one of the greatest horrors in Colorado's Indian history. Well, since this was the night for my annual ceremony of renewing my consecration to life, I got in my car and went to find a quiet place to work my pipe and pray. As I drove, an older Indian man wrapped in a blanket appeared in the passenger seat. I knew it was an apparition, but he spoke softly nonetheless, telling me where to go for my ceremony. Up the mountain, off the road, into the black of the forest we climbed. He directed my turn since all I could see was the narrow pathway illuminated in the beams of my headlights. At last he told me to stop. I found myself on the edge of an outcropping overlooking an expansive lake. I took out my pipe to pray with it and was told not to smoke it. The black high mountain lake in front of me was smooth as glass and reflected the light of 1,000,000 stars. In the grandeur of the sight, I couldn't tell where the lake ended and the sky began. It was so beautiful. I was in awe of its magnificence. Once again, I heard the voice in my mind. This is what it said. As vast as this star field is that joins the sky and earth, remember that you and all people are more vast than all the stars you see tonight. You've just forgotten, and it's time to remember. Take the scalps back to Sand Creek and give them an honorable burial. As you do this, and this is important, pray for those who killed them as well as for those who were killed. You can work your pipe when all of this has been completed. Well, I sat for a long time that night looking into the panorama of starlight in front of me, reflecting on these words. My spirit companion had left, and somehow I found my way back down the mountain trail. In the morning, I went to the office and found Bob, the owner of the hotel, at the front desk. Bob was a large man with a plaid shirt, red suspenders, and a generous belly and well-worn jeans. I asked about the scalps, and he told me it was his great-grandfather who had fought in the battle. I said quietly, "My friend, it wasn't a battle, but a massacre." He told me he had been offered an RV for the scalps, but he turned it down, and as he fingered the fringe on the old quiver, he spoke to himself, saying how he had to repair this someday. I listened to him and softly touched his arm and said, "Bob, it's time for them to go back." He slowly turned to me with tears in his eyes. "I never believed in this killing," he said. "If I could go back in time, I would be born again as an Indian free long before the white man ever came." And I knew from what he said and how he said it that these were true words from his heart. And with that, he whipped those scalps off the quiver and put them in my hands. What are you going to do all I could do was feel with my heart and know that this was a profound moment. It was a profound moment. So I went across the street and I gathered up some red fabric and I wrapped them in the colors of the 4 directions and ribbon that I could buy there, and I went back to Denver. And when I got back to Denver, I called George Tinker. He was the head of our Native American church there. And he, in turn, called Neva Standing Bear Light in the Lodge, who was a Lakota friend and elder who was going to help us through what was to come. Well, the first thing that we had to do as we were preparing for ceremony was to go into the sweat lodge. A sweat lodge, as you probably know, is it's a lodge that is reflective of a womb in the earth, and you go in on all fours because you know that you are no greater nor lesser than any being on earth. Well, that sweat lodge was hotter. It was hotter than any lodge I had been in before. And it's like your body is being so, it's being so consumed. Your consciousness is put on the heat and trying to withstand all of the heat, that it allows your mind and your spirit to travel. Well, travel mine did. First, I started tasting gunpowder. Now, I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but just bear with me. So I started tasting gunpowder. I didn't know it had a taste, but I was tasting it. And I found myself running through this camp and running through the smoke and running through the noise and the yells and the screams. And I was looking for my son. I know there was a lot of people tried to pull me away in this, wherever I had gone. And all I could think of was finding my son. All of our hunters had gone out on a hunt, and so it was only women and children, mostly, and older men who were left in the camp. And finally I found him. He was on the ground, and he had been killed. And I let myself be led away, and I found that the person who was calling me away was Neva, and we were back in the lodge. That was the beginning of a long journey for me. After that, I went and made arrangements. At that time, Sand Creek was privately owned by a man, and I went down and talked to him, and I put to get permission to do a burial on the land. And in the meantime, I put the scalps on my altar. I'd made a place for them. And every night I'd bring food to them and I would talk to them. Because in our tradition, those who've walked on are still sentient. They're still with us, and I didn't really know what to do in order to honor them as I should. So I sang them every prayer. I sang the Our Father. I didn't know Cheyenne and Arapaho songs because it was the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes that were down there in Sand Creek, and so I sang to them every night. And I made my tobacco ties, and tobacco ties are making a prayer with tobacco and putting it in cloth and tying the cloth and then tying these together and making tobacco ties, so that I ended up with 125 prayers that I had made over the few weeks that it took to get to the ceremony. And as I was doing this one night, I saw I was looking at the scalps, and I mean, it took me time to get used to this concept of having scalps there. And I saw that they had been sewn with tiny pink stitches. Some woman had sewed these scalps, these pieces of flesh together so that they could hang over the lines that had been put up in the Denver theater at the time, so that people who were doing this massacre could bring back body trophies of people's breasts and different body parts of men, and for each body part that they brought back, they got a free pair of boots. It was a shared horror. I made a decision that in the burial of these scalps, they wouldn't be buried sewed together with these tiny pink stitches. So I took my knife one night and I cut them apart. And that night I was awakened. The altar was in my bedroom. That night I was awakened by such an upheaval of energy in my bedroom. It was like standing in the middle of a waterfall. The dissonance in my room was so strong, and I didn't know if I had done something wrong, and so I said, I'm so sorry if I've done anything wrong. I'm sorry. And I understood then that there's such a thinning between the unseen world and our world, that I knew that if I had not come with a pure heart and done what I did with good intention, that I might have felt consequences to this unleashed energy. I made more prayers and it subsided, and we went on and we moved forward. We had invited those from the Arapaho Nation and those from the Cheyenne Nation to be with us throughout all of this, because these are their ancestors, but we didn't get any response for them. So we put out an invitation to anyone who wanted to join us, with the caveat that, as I had been told, that we were to pray during this ceremony, during this burial, for both those who were killed as well as those who had killed them. We had Calvin Standing Bear and Neva and George and members of AIM, which are like the warrior natives of our community. And we went down to Sand Creek, and when we were there, we were setting up camp. And as we set up camp, some of the men went naturally to go and check out the area, and they came back really fast. And they said it was twilight, and they said they could hear camp noises all up and down the river, the area where Sand Creek was. That night I went out and I found a place where everything grows in circles, because we don't have a beginning and an end. We have a beginning and a beginning. So at twilight the next day, we all went over there, and as we started singing the songs and making the prayers, and songs can be really long and the prayers can be really long, two birds came and just flew in place above us and just stayed there for the whole time. And you might think I'm making this up, but there were other people there. And we prayed, and we did the burial the best we knew how. Neva had made pemmican. It's dry meat and berries. It's a traditional Plains food, and we did our best. How do you do your best to step back into time and try and make it okay? to try and know that pain is there, and for all of those who walked on in that place, and for all their descendants. They were the ancestors of all of the people who came from that tribe. All I can say is that we did our best. And when we finished praying, the birds flew away. As everybody left, I erased all the sense of where we'd been and where the burial had taken place. And I hoped it was enough. What I drew from that time and what I drew from that experience is, one, the seen and the unseen world are closer than we think. I ended up knowing from the teaching that I'd been given on that mountaintop that everyone's soul is of value, whether we have forgotten who we are, or whether we're living our normal life, or whether we are, no matter what, we're all sacred beings. And so we start changing by holding that thought and knowing that not only are we sacred, but everything around us is infused with the spirit of life. We call it Geshe Manidu, we call it the Great Mystery. Everything is infused with a great mystery. And it's ours to honor and respect the best way we can. The other thing I took away from that was knowing that even though I couldn't change the past, I can take that experience and I can change the present. All around us, I see the signs of people who have forgotten who they are and forgotten how to love and have forgotten how to have empathy and nurture each other and nurture our beautiful Mother Earth. Sand Creek happened in the late 1764, 1784. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact date down. And we're still doing it. And I think, what does it take for us to change? What does it take? And the only thing I can think of that I share with you with all my heart is that in each of us, we in Native America, I am an Anishinaabe, in our beliefs, we're not born perfect. We're not, our goal is not to be perfect. Our goal is to know that we have the propensity for both good and not so good in us. And our life is to learn how to hold those in balance, is to know what we're feeding, what we're giving life to. And so as I think about what it needs to do to change now, how I begin is to know that never, never again will I stand by and be a witness to this destruction of life. Whether I'm going to work to help with climate change, whether I'm going to work with helping people who are affected by the pandemic, whether I'm going to take a stand for justice and the value of all lives and the belief that peace is possible and necessary and a part of our future, I will take that that I will find my place in the circle of life and never again stand by to watch these kinds of atrocities take place. So, thank you for listening. I hope that this story has been of value to you. I know it's one that has touched my life and has changed it forever. Whenever I pick up my pipe now to pray, I don't pray for those who think the way I think, or those who are not thinking the way I think. I pray that we all grow strong. I pray that we all remember who we are and remember that we're sacred, as is life around us. Megwitch, that means that what I say now, what we share now, I hold in my heart forever. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Again, we're ready to get up and move. Thank you, Deb, so much for that introduction. And we're doing the Ashtang, the 8-beat with HUD, which is navel point, and it's God's name in the navel. And we're going to chant that so the tip of the tongue hits the upper palate. And we're going to do some movement for the ethers, the air, the water, the wind, the fire elements. Okay? Giving thanks to grandmother, giving thanks to grandfather, and giving thanks to our planet. Are we ready? Let's do it. You all have to get up and dance with us. Okay.
We've been receiving so much wisdom. I'm going to ask you to continue listening with the softest part of your ear and expanding heart. And to do that, we have to pause because I can feel the wind kicking up. You can see the flags blowing and the kokopelli and this amazing peace pole. So we've heard all this, but how do we move forward? How do we heal? All of this indigenous wisdom is not just about a past, it's about a journey of ours and a journey that we're caring for future generations. And so what I'd like to share with you is a prophecy called the Eagle Hoop Prophecy. In this prophecy, there was a vision by a Mohican elder, Don Coyes. And in that vision, Spirit told him to gather elders from all the different directions, all over the world, and to come together because the two-leggeds, human beings, have forgotten how to be in healthy relationship with ourselves, with other human beings, and with all of our relations. And so the call went out, and 27 elders came. And together, they built a hoop and put 100 eagle feathers. And at the end of their prayers and their chanting and their meditation in their various languages that weekend, they put into the hoop 4 gifts for all humankind. And I want to stress that because Spirit told them, this is not just for any one group of people. These gifts are for the whole hoop of life, the red direction, the yellow direction, the black direction, the white direction, for us to create harmony and balance again. And we certainly need that at this time. So the 4 gifts are the power to forgive the unforgivable. The second gift is the power of unity. The third gift is the power of healing. And the fourth gift, put into the hoop for all of us, is the gift of hope in action. Let's learn a little bit more about this through the 4 Sacred Gifts video.
My kindergarten teacher asked, "What are you going to be when you grow up?" "Here, draw it." My friends stood holding drawings of firemen, doctors, mommies. I knew what I was going to be when I grew up from my dreams, which showed people connecting their hands and hearts, circling the earth. Everyone laughed. I knew this is what I was going to be when I grew up. As an adult, I was living that dream, filled with lots of experiences and connections to people all over the world. I was training and coaching leaders and their teams, bringing their minds and hearts together. After many years, my favorite executives who champion women and men of different backgrounds began to ask, "Why am I doing this?" It hit me like a rock. It echoed what I was feeling inside myself. In 1995, I found elders to talk to while volunteering at the American Indian Science and Engineering Society's annual conference. I'd ask them, "What am I supposed to be doing? Should I be doing something else?" On the second night of the conference, we all gathered to receive special gifts that came from the North, South, East, and West. I saw Henrietta, a most beautiful elder. I asked her, "Why won't you answer my questions?" With her powerful and peaceful presence, she said, "Anita, why would I tell you something that you already know?" Henrietta, I am no different than these young students who are preparing to go to work and live in organizations whose ways are so different. I am Mexican and Indian. I need to come home more often to fill up and go out again. She smiled and nodded. The smell of sage and sweetgrass drew me into the room. I became fully present for the first time in months as I saw a hoop with 100 eagle feathers hanging in the center of the room and listened to a prophecy from over 100 years ago about a time when the elders come from different directions to pray and sing together. He said, "Remember, grandmother and grandfather make no mistakes. We each have a role to play. We are all part of one mother, one earth. We have been living in a great time of winter, and now we must prepare for the spring." There was silence. Then he began naming the 4 gifts for all humanity to help prepare ourselves and our communities. From the north, the power to forgive the unforgivable. From the west, the power of unity. From the east, the gift of healing. From the south, the gift of hope. Afterwards, I saw Henrietta and another elder. I don't have all the answers, do I? No, Anita, you think that the worst thing that has ever happened to our people was to have been murdered and to have our sacred land stolen. You are wrong. The worst thing that can happen to our people, or to any people, is to lose hope. Her words were like a spear of truth that hit and opened my heart. These 4 gifts have supported me through the good and the tough times. Forgiving my parents healed the little girl within me, for I was repeatedly hurt by my father from age 4 to 13. And I replaced the hurt with gratitude for my parents giving me life. Appreciating the similarities and the differences of those who I have taught and who have taught me built my understanding of the power of unity. One day, looking out from our deck, my youngest son said, "Mom, you had a really tough childhood. And look at everything that you've done. Traveling all over the world, working with business leaders, and bringing people together. Wow, what is mine to do? What amazing things can I bring into this world?"
Take a breath, inhaling through your nose, the deepest breath that you can. And exhale slowly through your mouth. Thank you for receiving the 4 gifts from the indigenous elders from all over the world. You know with your expanded heart and the softest part of your ears, which of the gifts is calling to you. All these gifts are yours, but which is asking you to move forward in action to create the unity and peace that we desire for not only all human beings, but for all of our relatives as well. Not only now, but 7 generations going forward. Allow that to sit there. There is no wrong answer. Is it the power to forgive the unforgivable? It's already coming to you. That which you know that you can forgive. It may not be easy, but it's possible, and it's a path to freedom. The power of unity, us gather together. I know from my work with business leaders and community leaders, they want to jump to unity and hope. But what we find out is it's really critical to do things collaboratively, co-creating. However, without the forgiveness and healing, your unity could be so much more powerful. So if unity is calling you, step forward with that open heart. The third gift, the gift of healing. If that's what's coming to you, register that in the ceremonial part of your heart. For healing is not a one-time event. Healing is a process. It's a wonderful process. Every day we get to wake up and use this gift of healing, allowing us to be present, our energy to what we want to create now and in the future for all beings that we love. The power of the gift of healing. And then if the gift of hope in action is calling you, please receive that. Receive that with the ceremonial part of your heart. I'm listening to the wind again. I'm hoping you can feel it by just watching. Mother Earth and all our relatives know we are powerful. We know ourselves we're powerful. Every moment we have a choice to be good medicine or bad medicine. Good medicine is anyone or anything that puts into alignment the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical level. Bad medicine is anyone or anything that takes this out of alignment, the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. So we're human beings, and we keep striving in every moment to be good medicine. And let me say that if we fall short, what I know from the wisdom of these elders and this eagle who prophecy, if you pick up these gifts and use them, they do not promise that you have it easy or that you won't have times you fall short, but you will not spiral downwards. You will be able to lift up and move forward and be a life-giving force. Can you feel that? I feel that with the wind and this mountain that's below me. And the smiles of the Cheyenne and the Arapaho and the Ute. They're descendants who are still here, and they're teaching that they're still giving us for today and for tomorrow, not as if invisible or from some past time. Any of the gifts are critical. All of the gifts are critical. And although they were given to us as specific individual gifts, you will find quickly, as I have, and the leaders that I've taught and supported in their work, is they're intimately interconnected. So you can make no false steps. Follow unity. Unity was the gift that helped me to realize to take down the armor from the abuse that I endured as a child and the murder of my father that was race-related, because dark-skinned people are not treated with dignity in the way they should. so one may weave into the other. But I want to close standing on this land with hope in action, because it is on this land that my sons have grown up and that Indigenous elders have come and done ceremony. And I'll tell a quick story of my 23-year-old, who at the time was 18 months old. And Eddie Box Sr., a Ute elder, 30-year teacher, leader of the Sundance, came and did a blessing way. It was powerful and beautiful. And when he finished painting himself and set this child down, and Eddie began to play the hoop and then play the drums, my son, an 18-month-old, danced like no 18-month-old dances. And his brother of 6 years old said to Eddie, I heard him say, "How does Nico know how to do that?" And Eddie looked at him and said, "The ancestors are with him. He has not forgotten, and neither have you. All you need to do is ask, and you will receive." The four sacred gifts, Indigenous wisdom for modern times. You can learn more about the Eagle Hoop prophecy and be a life-giving force in this amazing, amazing world of ours.
My beloved children, for thousands of years, I've listened to the sounds of your wars, and silently I've absorbed the blood of your dying. I waited over the years until this time of awakening. In the darkness of ignorance, I've watched you gather your possessions, filled your stomachs, and think you thrived while others went hungry. You thought you had freedom while others were dying in bondage. I waited until now, when you begin to understand that the other person was always a part of you. For as long as there's need in the world, you will always be needy, no matter how much you possess. And when you abuse the land, the sea, and her creatures, you threaten your own very existence. Now you're weaving fibers of light around the world. You're filling the skies with electronic birds so your words will travel far. But to what end? Daughters and sons, you are the bearers of life. Let your gift be used now, that all my children may live. Teach and learn from each other. Let the right to knowledge be universal for every human. Open up your vaults of wisdom and resources to the children of every continent. And care for each other as a family does. Understand how endangered the animals are and the consequences of your nuclear and toxic waste. Remember the devastations that war engenders. Now, share your ideas and activate your solutions and link together to heal our deteriorating environment. Dissolve the borders that have divided you and have kept you separated. Join your ideas with other nations, respecting your differences, and grow from your collective visions. Create out of your strength, not your fear. Do this not nation by nation, but person by person. You don't have to go to church to be in a holy place. Where each of you stand is a sacred place, because within each of you is the eternal possible. One by one, understand your particular gift and breathe your life into the web of light. Let the knowledge of healing and health be made available to the most remote parts of the lands. Forget time and space. Show up with your friendship in ghettos and slums, reservations and barrios. You're needed as never before because now individuals bonding together can set the course of the future. Let your knowledge and information be poured into the webworks of light, turning communication into communion with all your brothers and sisters. Show up each day with gratitude for all you've been given and share it. In this way, you all become stronger and prepare a legacy of growth for all the children of our world. You're the midwives of change. The children of tomorrow are now in your hands.
Take your shoes off, my child. Touch the sacred earth with your hands. Listen to our voices, guide you through the realms of time with open eyes. Bring your courage to this life. Ancestors, remind me who I am. Ancestors, whisper into this aching heart. Ancestors, I feel you near, even though I might not see you. With these eyes I can hear. Reach out your hand to another. Lay a prayer down through all your tears and laughter. Stand tall as the sky, walk in grace. Let your seeds of love be your only trace. Ancestors, remind me who I am. Ancestors, whisper into this aching heart. Ancestors, I feel you near, even though I might not see you. With these eyes I can hear. They are much closer than you think. Close your eyes, get quiet within. They are much closer than you think. Close your eyes, get quiet within. They are much closer than you think. Close your eyes, get quiet within. They are much closer than you think. Close your eyes, get quiet
Hello, I'm Dr. Deb Sandella, and I am feeling so complete with what has happened so far in our ceremony, our Indigenous ceremony, and I'm so grateful to the Indigenous speakers who have shared their wisdom. And so as we have come to the close of the ceremony, we now turn to look inward at our own healing, only now we get to look with new eyes. We get to see aspects of ourselves that we haven't been focused on. Because feelings are contagious. So when we do our own healing work toward unity, then others around us benefit. And when others around us do their healing work toward unity, we benefit. And so now as we turn from the ceremony to an inner ceremony, we're going to deepen into an experience of sensing what direction are you called in your healing toward unity. And we're going to be using the RIM method, RIM, that I originated over the last 20 years. That's very simple, and it collaborates with our emotional operating system. That's why it's simple. Uses imagination and body awareness, which are important parts of us, but they don't get a lot of attention or a lot of credit. So as we move into this state, I'm going to invite you to relax and find your space, to really soften into yourself. And with your eyes either open or closed, it's really whatever feels right to you. Now you can just take a big, deep, cleansing breath in. And exhale all the way down into emptiness. And as you just dip into your own body, just imagine following your breath all the way down, right behind your navel, having your attention right in that place of center between your hips. And as you're there, you'll just notice what you're experiencing in your body right now, what you're feeling physically, what you're feeling emotionally. And you just get to relax into it. Feelings are transient. They're never designed to be permanent. They just flow through. And so you just are going to ride this river of emotion, that whatever feeling comes, you allow it, feel it, and it flows through. You allow it, feel it, and it flows through. And so in this moment of inner awareness, your imagination is going to bring a number from 1 to 10, with 10 being most. It just pops in of how close to unity you are. So 10 is unity, is your state of awareness that allows you to be part of the oneness, even with people and experiences that are different than yours. And so as you get that number, whatever pops in, letting go of any desire to edit, just receive it, what that number is. And as you receive that number, just imagine standing in that number towards the level of unity. And, you know, there's no good or bad numbers here, so don't judge yourself. Just be gentle and receive a self-awareness that may be new to you. And that number may be sliding up or down, depending on what your inner experience is. That's fine. And as you look toward the 10, your imagination brings you an image, again, just like that, of what you look like, what you are like, how you act, how you speak, when you're at the 10 level of unity or union with oneness, with all that is, with all of its differences, all of its uniqueness, all of its polarness, you know, that there's always opposites. There's day and night. There are things that are very comfortable and things that are uncomfortable. So given all of that, as you look at this image of yourself at the 10 level, just take a moment to really study who you are at full unity. How are you? How do you show up? And look in the eyes of this 10 level of unity you and sense what is the feeling inside this vision of you. And just take a moment to sense how this 10 you moves and interacts with others, personally and in your work, with your body, with your mind, with your heart, and with your spirit. And as you sense looking and sensing all of that, just receive it like a stream of energy. And the energy may be colored or not, but it flows right into your current body that's at that original number that you started. And so as you receive all that there is to receive from this 10 level of unity that is you, sense it flowing into your body, into your spine, out through every square inch, out into every pore of your skin, all the way up to the crown of your head, out to the palms of your hands, the tips of your fingers, down to the soles of your feet, the tips of your toes. And as your whole body radiates with this energy, this colored energy that has been received, or it may be a quality that you're receiving, a very specific quality, whatever it is you're sensing, receive it because that's what's correct. And as you're filled with it, it even radiates out beyond your body. And an energy bubble around you into the world, or whatever distance feels right. Notice how your body feels now. Notice how your mind is now. Notice how your heart is now. And as you look back at the 10 you will notice how far forward you have moved toward that 10. And your number will change. You'll just be able to sense it. And notice how it feels to sense where you are now in your proximity to the full experience of unity. Notice the vibration between you and that 10 level you. What it feels like with the energy between the two of you. And you may already be 10, that's fine too. Just feel what that's like. You may be one with that 10 level of you already. And if you're not, and you want to move to that 10 level of you, of unity, go ahead and do that. And as you look out of the current eyes you're in, whatever level that is, and you look back at the number where you started, as you look back, you're going to sense what happened. What is it? How did you change? What did you give up? What did you embrace that you hadn't embraced before? And as you sense all of that from this new level, you'll just sense that old you that was at that beginning number just flows right up and blends and melds with you now, where you are now. And then as you turn back and look out from that 10 level or wherever you are close to that 10 level, just sense what the world around you looks like and seems like, how it feels as you're looking through these new eyes. And as you're in this new place of sensing the movement in the journey, and it's a journey, as several of our indigenous teachers have said today, it's an ongoing journey, probably throughout all of our lives. And so now as you have made this leap to this new place, and you look out to the world, of course there'll be another set of numbers out ahead of you at some point. But right now you get to rest in the celebration of having given up something that didn't serve you and receiving something that you deserve to claim. And as you sense all of that, just receive it into yourself. And there'll just be, as you sense your heart, there'll be one word of what you're feeling now. It'll just pop in. Whatever that word is, just receive it, letting go of any judgment of good or bad. Just is what it is. Just a feeling. It's temporary. But feeling it allows it to serve you and move on. And so receive it, whatever it is. Even if it's a good feeling, just receive it. Give yourself over to it, to feel it completely. Just completely. And as you receive it, just move your attention back into your heart. And now you're going to get a new feeling word of whatever you're feeling now. Because we change moment to moment to moment. And so as the new word pops in, whatever it is, receive it and feel it with abandon. And as you feel it, there'll be one final word that we will be calling forth to recognize, and whatever it is pops in to your awareness. And as you sense that word and you feel it completely, just notice what your body is experiencing right now and how it is aligned with your mind. As you sense the wholeness, the oneness of unification, of unity in all the many different aspects of you, mind, body, heart, soul, all of it. Because we do have a body, we are living in a physical world, and yet we're so much more. And you are so much more. And so as you're ready, just sensing what you're aware of in your body right now, just go ahead and let your eyes open if they've been closed. Let your body wiggle if it once been very still as you return back into the place that you began. And become aware. And so, as you're back, just notice what it's like. As you look around at the world, you may notice the physical difference in your physical sight. Like I notice things look clearer. They look very clear because I'm focusing differently somehow. And so what I want to share, the final thing to share, is that as we are helping others to unity, it is a journey that is changing us, that we are transforming at the same time. And it's very important. And so thank you for being on this journey with me. And so take all that you have learned from our whole experience today and be with it in whatever way that it serves you. Thank you.
May the blessings of this day serve you in the most sacred way. This is a reading today that came in from jolly old England from our dear friend and colleague, Jeff Vanderkloot. The decision has been made within the collective consciousness of humanity to remember our unity and to live one true nature in peace. This includes honoring one another and all of our relatives. The result of this decision by humanity itself may look and feel like an earthquake, as if everything is falling apart. And in some ways, that is what's happening. To make room for the very new. Our societies are not losing coherence and descending into chaos as much as we are passing through a period of creative chaos so that we can be recreated by the divine energies, by the Great Spirit, by the love that is always supporting us. Our contributions during this time will be amplified and made luminous in the measure that we make new choices, that we are not based in fear. And the results? The world we live in and wish to live in, that we wish for our children and grandchildren to live in, will not be built on a foundation of fear. What was the old way? The new world cannot be built on fear, and it cannot hold fear. So fear is draining out of lives right now. And this is an unfamiliar experience. And we have been accustomed to fearing what is unfamiliar. Therefore, we must be strong, and we must choose to trust that life has great wisdom. At this time, we are called upon to trust that everything we are experiencing, including the turbulence, is a part of the process of love, shaking us loose from the unloving ways so that we may know love in fullness. Thank you to our dear friend. Thank you. Please take your hands and welcome in the ancestors and hold yourself high and bring your fingertips back and your palms flat and call in all your own ancestors as we hear the blessings of all our ancestors. May we receive in the light of oneness, of grace. Breathe, the deep belly rises to greet and falls back to the spine, calling in all. Let your heart breathe deeper from the back of the heart to the front of the heart. This V is for a victory. It's a 60-degree angle, which slivers through the subconscious patterns that no longer serve us, dear ones. Call in the 7 generations before us and the 7 generations to come. Let the head hang. Feel the brightness of this solar sun this great eastern sun. And draw the palms together at your heart and breathe in through your nose and breathe out through puckered lips. Breathe in through puckered lips and out through your nose, and breathe in through your nose and breathe out through puckered lips, and breathe in through puckered lips and breathe out through your nose, and continue this breath. And we'll take the lotus mudra at the heart and we'll pull in the power of this voice, this healing of this planet, this caravan of unity. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through puckered lips. Inhale through puckered lips. Exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through puckered lips. Inhale through puckered lips. Exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through puckered lips. Stay with it. Inhale through puckered lips. Suck in that beautiful breath of wisdom and grace. Exhale through the nose. Any grief, anything that's holding you back. Inhale through that joy, wisdom, and love. Exhale any anxiety, stress, judgment, fear. Inhale joy, happiness, love, companionship, relationships. Exhale and inhale. Draw the palms together and Satnam. Taking your hands and holding this Adi Shakti, this beautiful, beautiful healing for our planet. It's Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo, Namo. I bow to the divine feminine. Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Namo, Namo. Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Namo, Namo. Kundalini, Mata Shakti, Namo, Namo. Call in the divine spaciousness of this Adi Shakti, and then we'll move into the sacred Ramadasa to heal.
Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namah. Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Namo Namah. Namo Namah. Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Bhagavati Namo Namah.
Mata Shakti Namo.
Kundalini Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti Namo Namah.
Women, you can place this around you. Only once you need it, only once, and you will be removed from this fear, this worry that plays no part any longer in your heart. Be the greatest being that you are. Let this divine feminine and masculine dance go into this very sacred mantra. Namo Namah. Chant. Sarva Shakti. Sarva Shakti. Sarva Shakti. Sarva Shakti. Namo Namah.
Namo Namah.
Bring it in.
Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati Namo Namah.
It's the
Namo
devotion.
Namah.
It's the healing. It's you. Surrender.
Kundalini Mata Shakti,
It's the mother.
Mata Shakti Namo Namah.
And take a very deep inhale and exhale, bringing the palms at the heart center. And breathe. For the last meditation today, we welcome you to Ramadasa Sase Sohung. It's a healing circle, dear friends. It's a circle going around the universe. And it goes like this. Hold your hands out, turn your palms forward, and bless each other, and bless each other, and bless each other more. Please heal. Please feel the love. Please know we're here for each other. May peace prevail on planet Earth. Rama Dasa Sase Sohung around the planet. Let's go. Last round. Ramadasa Sase Take a very deep inhale and hold and squeeze this love back into you. Satnam. It is not too dark to go for a walk. If it is too dark, get some fresh air. Try to smile. Say something kind to a safe-looking stranger, if one happens to go by. Always exercise your heart knowing. You might as well attempt something real along this path. Take your spouse or your lover into your arms the way you did when you first met. Let tenderness pour from your eyes the way the sun gazes warmly on this earth. Play a game with some children. Extend yourself to a friend. Sing a few ribald songs to your pets and plants. Why not let them get drunk and wild? Let's toast. Every rung we've climbed on evolution's ladder. Whisper, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I thank you, I thank you, I thank you, I thank you to the whole mad world. And let's stop reading about God. We will never understand him. Jump to your feet, wave your fists, threaten and warn the whole universe, and then warn the whole universe that your heart can no longer live without real love. Abis.
That Karuna energy is so deepening. It's like, it feels like she brought everything together right here within us, in the earth and in us, that we've been experiencing all day long.
I definitely feel it. And, the wind just keeps kicking up, but I just feel very full. It's just been such a wonderful day. The Caravan of Unity and Unity Earth, I'm exhausted, but I feel like I could dance and just, I'm sending love to everyone who's listening in and to all the Caravan of Unity and all the filmmakers and Peter, oh my gosh, just the energy of everyone.
Absolutely.
So grateful.
It's like I feel like we are a family, we are one, this team. Here, it's like we are living what it is we're talking about in this moment, and it feels so good.
Yes.
Feels so good.
And I can feel with my feet on this ground of Mother Earth, I can feel her smiling. I can feel that, and that we're listening. Yes. We are listening now.
Yes, absolutely. And so as we have arrived to almost the end here, we still have one lovely speaker, Olivia Hanson, who will give us a really powerful ending.
Hello, friends. I'm Olivia Hanson, president of the Spiritual Life TV channel. Today, we have heard about some horrible acts and some horrible divides, racial divides, religious divides, cultural divides, bringing concern to all of us. And then we have also offered hope and healing. You know, there is one important truth, and that is we are all connected. We are all one. When we open our hearts and minds to this shining truth, when we follow the golden rule of love, which is found in all the major religions and spiritual traditions, It brings us to the livingness and the caring that will take care of so many problems and divisions found in our world today. And it all comes down to love. Love thy neighbor as thyself, and living that to the best of our ability. This is true of the past, and it's true of what is needed today with our many, many divides in our country and in our world. So now let's open our hearts and join together as I share the mantra of unification. The sun, humanity is one, and we are one with all. We seek to love, not hate. We seek to serve and not exact due service. We seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form, and life and all events, and bring to light the love that underlies the happenings of the times. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate, and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all people love. Love. Thank you.
What a beautiful day we've had. This has just been magnificent to be with you all. And for our ending beautiful music, we're going to introduce again to Bhakti Explosion with Katie Wise and J.J. Jones. Thanks so much. Happy you came.
We're going to call in the goddesses. Saraswati for beginnings, Lakshmi for sustenance, and Durga for removing what is no longer relevant. Saraswati, Lakshmi, Durga Devi, Jagadambe, Jagadambe Ma, Saraswati, Lakshmi, Durga Devi, Jagadambe, Jagadambe Ma, Saraswati, J.J. Ma, Lakshmi, J.J. Ma, Durga Devi, J.J. Ma, Jagadambe, Jagadambe Ma, Saraswati, J.J. Ma, Lakshmi, J.J. Ma, Durga Devi, J.J. Ma, Jagadambe, J.J. Ma. No matter what your color is or what your family ties, your beauty goes beyond your face, your power's not your size. Underneath your precious skin, your soul is shining bright. You are a child of Rama, made of sound and light. Hey, 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 hey. Open up your eyes. Hey, 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 hey. We are built to rise. To rise. When they go low, we go up high. We know what we are made of. Come here and look me in the eye. What are you afraid of? My yes is clear, my no is strong. Choose this as my style. Love to give more than an inch, but some will take a mile. Hey, 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 hey. Open up your eyes. Hey, 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 hey. We are built to rise. Not about men or women, bright, black or white, we're all rising up and we must fight. I stand for every human, every choice. It's time to find your voice. The world needs your voice to rise, to rise. We are built, we are built, we are built to rise, to rise, to rise. We are built, we are built, we are built to rise. Gemma, 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 Gemma. Hey children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Hey children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Hey children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Hey children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Hey children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Hey children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. To rise, we are built to rise, to rise, to rise. We are built to rise, to rise, to rise. We are built to rise, to rise, to rise. We are built to rise.
This song is called Shri Ram Jai Ram, and this is the song that Hanuman sings as he does heroic deeds out of love. So it's calling on the oneness, calling on the unity. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram.
Shri Ram Jai Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai 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 Ram Jai Jai. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram.
Thank you for sharing that sacred time with us. And here we are at sunrise during sunset right now. And I just want to take a moment for us to reflect on the magic that we just experienced together. The healing, the ceremonies, the meditations, the music, the introspection, the amazing, exquisite connection that we felt with ourselves, with each other, with the ancestors, to what's to come. This has been a really special time.
Thank you, Rachel. Deeply moved, as I'm sure many of you are. This is the work. This is the work that we must do to bring healing, to bring a bridge into our future together. So just so grateful to be here, to be a witness to this, and to all of the Indigenous elders out there that are championing and coming together in this way. I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
In our next segment, we are going to experience some new things that are coming out of our Colorado communities. We'll be starting with Steve Farrell, a dear friend of ours. He is the director of Humanities Team, and he'll be sharing his thoughts on the concept of unity and oneness from a now perspective. And that'll lead us into some more conversations and highlights of our friends in this area who are really connected to some amazing projects and initiatives and ideas that we're all really excited to share with you, and welcoming what's next to come. Take it away.
Good day, everybody. I'm Steve Farrell, the Worldwide Executive Director for Humanities Team, and it's wonderful to be with all of you who are part of this caravan of unity and peace, traveling from Grace Cathedral through Colorado, where I live here in Boulder, Colorado, and on to Washington, D.C., with this incredibly important message, focusing on unity and on peace. You may know that Humanities Team was founded in June 2003 to awaken oneness with the divine each other and all of life. That was our whole focus when we were founded 17 years ago. And it continues to be our focus. We're here to support people on their conscious journey to create this planetary awakening and to manifest flourishing in all parts of our life. Now, back in 2010, we created Global Oneness Day, also to focus on our unity, on our oneness. And we're celebrating our 11th Global Oneness Day this year, and the theme is the power of love, resetting humanity to a new way of living on the earth. So this is really the very same theme that the Caravan of Unity is carrying. It's a theme that's focused on this pivoting from this unconscious way of living on the earth to a conscious way of living on the earth, where we understand that we're deeply connected and where we live lives in presence, conscious lives, where we feel our connection, or we could even say our communion with each other and with the divine, with all of life. And of course, this is an ancient truth. It's a timeless truth. The mystics have carried this message over millennia. And this message has been affirmed by modern science. So it's really time that this message of unity, of oneness, comes out of the closet. And the people in the mainstream all over the world understand what physicists and chemists and biologists and other scientists are affirming is true, that we really are all one. That space that appears to be empty is not empty at all, that we're actually deeply interconnected, all parts of life, not just here in the world in which we live, but throughout the cosmos to the furthest galaxies. We're all actually deeply interconnected. Now, so why is this message so important? There are many things that we could talk about here, but let me just bring in three things that we emphasize here in Humanities Team. That when we understand that we're deeply connected, that just like a nuclear family that's deeply connected, there's a sense of responsibility that goes with that. Wherever there's connection, there's responsibility. And wherever there's responsibility, there's positive action. That's what mature people do. So where we really get that this unity is real, that we are all one, and where we feel into that deep connection with each other, the 7.8 billion people here living on the planet, and our connection, our oneness with the animal kingdom, with Gaia herself, where we deeply feel into that. And even right now, in this moment, just breathing into that, feeling into that. This is where we're conscious, where we feel presence. Where we feel into that, then the responsibility part comes naturally. The positive action part comes naturally. And it's just like what our mothers used to say then growing up, that many hands make light work, because we're all feeling into this unity, all of us living on the earth. No longer are we closing the door to our conscience, to things that are harmful in what we eat, in what products and services we deliver as businesses or organizations. We really enter into this whole new way of living on the earth, which is the purpose here for this tour, the Caravan of Unity. It's the purpose of Humanities Team. It's the purpose of Global Oneness Day. And the purpose probably for all of you, all of us on this conscious journey, and you viewers of which you are a part. So I'll just leave you with a couple of things here. One is that the Global Oneness Summit is October 17 to the 24th this year in 2020. And on Saturday, October 17th, when it launches, it's launching with something new. It's called Shout Out Love Day on Saturday, October 17th. And it's kind of like a Horton Hears the Who moment. But instead of shouting out, "We are here," we're shouting out love. We're shouting out, "I'm an expression of love." We're shouting out, let's create a loving presence on the planet. Let's create a global civilization based on love. So we're going to enjoy a 30-minute live program. On Saturday, October 17th, we're going to actually enjoy it twice from 8:30 to 9 a.m. Pacific, and then again, 8:30 to 9 p.m. Pacific on Saturday, October 17th. We hope you'll join us. You can go to globalonenesssummit.org to register to participate. And also then the Global Oneness Summit that follows, it's an 8-day program. It's all complimentary, and we'll send out free viewing links at the end of each day. So if you're tied up in things, you can watch the whole summit, the 8-day summit at your leisure. There actually are 24 programs this year. So invite you to be part of the Shout Out Love Day and the Global Oneness Summit 2020. Now, as well here, regarding the Caravan of Unity and Peace, let's all be supporters of the Caravan of Unity and Peace. Let's carry that message ourselves. And let's carry it all the way into our being state, this whole Gandhi thing that's talked about extensively, being the change we wish to see in the world. Let's be the change we wish to see in the world. Living consciously, working consciously, creating conscious homes, and creating a conscious world where we deeply embody unity and peace. And thank you so much for joining me here for these few minutes. Godspeed to everyone who's a part of the Caravan of Unity. Thank you to everybody who's participating in this team of 3 that's traveling across the United States to record this entire program. Namaste to each of you and all of you.
I imagine a collective future where all of humanity is awakened to the reality of oneness and that we work together to heal ourselves and heal the planet.
Everyone and everything is cared for as sacred.
Everybody lives in abundance and in sacred space.
I see us becoming the divine beings we were always meant to be and living into that.
My vision of our collective future is full of compassion,
equality, and co-creation.
All people see each other as brothers and sisters and the earth as our mother.
Finally realizing that we have the capabilities to manifest this heaven right here on earth.
Living more in our truth and through love, harmonious.
Developing a greater sense of friendship and seeing what you can trust as true in each person.
I see humanity coming together with the indigenous peoples of the world in a higher frequency and bringing peace on earth and heaven on earth.
I see us coming together as a new humanity, coming together in new ways to create.
We're going to upgrade our collective operating system to Humanity 2.0.
Every single human being gets to create what they want in this world with no barriers. We're all equal, we all support each other.
There's something magical that happens. There's a connection that deepens.
When our work is a celebration and is oriented towards sustenance of the earth, sustenance of each other, sustenance of ourselves.
Community life for me is the beginning seeds of that happening in our whole society.
Growing food, honoring the earth, and spreading that message of love to the larger world.
Working in our garden, working with our animals, and working on my spiritual self every day. Coming through love. I've dedicated myself to teaching about permaculture. I'm a permaculturist and a permaculture designer. I think that designing our habitat is what's going to feed us in our bellies and in our hearts.
Loving others, speaking truth, and giving my gifts in spaces that it's welcome.
Remembering and awakening to the truth of who I am, sharing that with others, and supporting them to remember and know who they are.
Just showing up in my community as my best self, being a helping hand and just being support.
Blessing my circumstance in every moment.
As I touch anything in my work, I and there to bless it and to lift it up to a higher level.
I'm dedicated to my own awakening and to assisting others in theirs and living a fully spiritual life here in an intentional community in Loveland, Colorado.
Hi, my name is Ben Boulder from Unity Earth, and I'm here with an invitation. Over the last 10 years, Unity Earth has been dedicated to bringing people together from multiple traditions and lineages and cultures in sacred sites around the world, uniting to come together for the cause for unity, peace, for justice, and for a better world. And this is the climax of that entire journey. Who knew when we launched officially the Caravan of Unity and the Road to 2020 in October 2016 that 2020 would turn out to be the year that it has? And yet here we are. We are right at the moment of turning. The Caravan of Unity is going across the United States at a time where America looks like it's falling apart. Caravan of Unity across Europe is connecting different elements and bringing them together for a whole systems transformation. It's all building up to the 8-day up convergence, building upon what we did together in June in World Unity Week, this 8-day multi-Zoom convergence to unite and to inspire and to learn together as we then go and grow together towards Peace Weekend 2020, this 3-day global broadcast to unite the world, and then finally arriving on the National Mall on September 28th in Washington, D.C. We are all in. Our partners are all in. We are going non-stop. The crews are going across America. The volunteers are working. We need your help. We need your support. If we are going to show up on the world stage now with a historic force, this is our moment of choice. We need your support so that all of our good intentions and all of our prayers can become a movement that can transform the world we love. Please support this appeal. Please share this out and come on board this great Caravan of Unity with the September Fund and beyond. Thank you, and we will see you on the road in the Caravan of Unity.
I love seeing our friends shine out there in the world. And I think that's one of the most amazing gifts that Ben and everyone on the Caravan of Unity and International Day of Peace and Unity Earth and all of these amazing projects are so passionate about creating in the world. It's about seeing how we can do this together as a community, no matter where we're at in the world.
Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, community for me is such a key in all the things that we're facing right now. I know personally at Sunrise Ranch, this COVID crisis, all the things that are happening in the world has pulled us closer as a community. As our friend Barbara Marx Hubbard once said, our crisis is a birth. And it does feel as if there is something being born and those old ways of being are dying away. And we're coming together as one, as community, both here at Sunrise Ranch and all over the world.
So we're super excited as we wrap up our time together to share with our audience out there some little pieces of Sunrise and our extended communities in the Northern Colorado area that we're connected to that we wanted to share with you. So I'm really excited and we're really excited. And I know everyone at Sunrise is really excited to share what is on our minds and hearts in this moment in time. And it's been such a joy to be with each and every one of you today. And I love seeing all the chats in the message boards, and we're just really happy to stay connected with all of you. So thanks so much for being with us. And here's our gift to you. Thanks.
I want to talk about the future of Sunrise Ranch. I just get so excited because of all I feel coming together, all of what is coming together with the people who are coming here, people who have expertise and genius in all these different fields, and then who are highly inspired and committed to bring something to the world.
The future of Sunrise Ranch is huge. Personally, I'm very excited for the educational piece of it. And I think that Sunrise Ranch is going to be this incredible opportunity for people of all ages to discover themselves.
My orientation of spirituality is kind of just like clearing the mind and the soul and making sure everything is just like okay in your body and like you dig it.
I feel like Sunrise Ranch is just taking off, like really taking off. There has been a long period of us building up to something, and here we are. There is an opportunity for us to just explode into the future with the strong foundation that we've built.
When I think of the future of Sunrise Ranch, I think of the possibilities of this being a global hub for people all around the world to know home, to know true love, to be that example in the world, wherever they are in the world, but to have this as a touchstone for them into that reality.
We are holding a place for the spiritual regeneration of mankind.
One person can do incredibly huge things in the world.
I see no boundaries, no countries, no different currencies. I see one world, one family. And Sunrise Ranch is a living demonstration of that.
The community here is very well organized. A lot of the people are really, really nice to the kids and like to everyone. They always say hi to us and they help us.
There's a real sense of anticipatory excitement over what's next, what's next.
Our minds are opening and our hearts are opening, and the answer is yes. Let's do this. Let's change.
And you might say, it's just in time. What I know is our world needs this.
First, we have an update on the spread of the deadly coronavirus, an international public health emergency.
Crowds of demonstrators following the death of George Floyd.
COVID-19 has battered the global economy.
The world needed to pause. We just proved that the world can take a pause and give Mother Earth a break. When we do, she responds instantly with more vigorous life, more return of beauty, a reminder of what our priorities are right now. We are just in a precious moment as humanity. We have a genomic update that is the result of physiologic and massive global stress. That is leading to this precious moment of pause. But we're at a tipping point in human history. Never has there been such an opportunity to transform. The microbiome, the biology beneath our feet and in the air we breathe. Spectacular universe, in and around us. We are these organic gardens. What we can learn from nature is that she creates resilience and life through biodiversity. Every time that happens, life responds with even greater force and greater bioactivity, greater biodiversity, greater intelligence.
Hine matovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. This is Psalm 133. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is to gather together. May the light of these candles remind us of the preciousness of life and the preciousness of getting to gather together.
Let us call on the vastness of divine presence, acknowledging our part in that vastness. I notice is there are opportunities to do things that weren't there in the same way before. It's just different, really. So I find myself with others just exploring the virtual space, exploring creative space.
After the whole lockdown began, I realized pretty quickly how much I needed this time to come back to source and come back into a very present dialogue with my higher self.
Life has changed. Like, life has changed for me. I'm a different person. I've learned things through this time. I've had profound experiences personally and then with others. So when you're really changed, there's no going back. There's no going back. There's something to emerge going forward. We have something to share that's profound as human beings. We have a unity and a harmony to share that we've been missing.
We don't know, but we do know that we're in a chrysalis phase and that we are in the cocoon, and on the other side, we are gonna have wings, and we don't know what those wings look like. We don't know what they feel like. We don't even know exactly what flying will be like. But I think we are entering this new space where we are growing wings, and we are given this potential to fly to new heights as beings living here on this planet, and collectively the potential for working together and working on world scales, I think is we have never been here before. We have this potential. We're all tuned in together at this time, and we've all gone through and entered a similar kind of cocoon. Even though our personal experiences are different, we've all gone through this together. So on the other side, it's the first time in human history that we will have gone through a shared world level experience.
Instead, being incredibly, very deeply in listening and attunement and in counsel with circles of trusted sense making with other people, and then being in action in a way that's really responsive to need.
What is mine to do? What is mine to create? What is the gift that I'm called to give? And why would I just give? Because I'm so grateful for everything that I've received. A million thank yous wouldn't even touch how precious this gift is. Even life itself is a gift. Our breath is a gift. The sun is a gift. We didn't earn them, right? So they're a gift. Like that knowledge is called gratitude. Like why else would we have been given so much if it were not to make us into powerful givers ourselves?
And yet we're sharing a challenge with people around the world. It's a global challenge. And if we needed a wake-up call to our common humanity and our common destiny, here it is. We need to understand our common humanity, our common destiny, our common interest. And not only the common interest of us as humankind, but the common interest of this planet and all the species on it. When we start to think in those terms, things look different. Leadership that sets the context of our common interest, our common good, sets the context of what we're sharing mutually, of our mutuality, our common history. We tend to look at the individual strand of our history, the strand of our culture, strand of our nation, our community, and forget that that strand is part of a larger cord that we share together as humankind. We have a common history, and God knows we have a common destiny. Ultimately, we're going to thrive as a species and as a planet together, or not at all. And so we need leaders who clearly paint that picture. And where there are leaders who are painting a picture of divisiveness, of win-lose, we need to simply reject what they are messaging to the world. We need to reject that view of reality. It's not real, it's not true. It's not what's happening. We are sharing a common story here and a common interest. So where are those who stand up and speak for that common destiny? That's what's needed at every level of leadership, from the family to the community to the nation and the world. The reason what's happening in the world is happening the way it is today is in part because of a heart disconnection. And so what's happening in the human heart can either be blocking and then controlling in a really destructive way what we're doing as human beings, or it can be a deeply connective factor, connecting us to a common well and bringing us to a common well together. And boy, do we need voices for that in the world today.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Community Activation Circle here at the one, the only Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado, in this exquisite Eden Valley. Our theme for today is an exploration of seeing ourselves and others with the eyes of love and understanding.
Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Each movement with your breath, and inhale and exhale.
The love that is always available to us from the universe doesn't depend on any person to provide it to us.
Lumai! We've grounded, we've centered, we've touched into the innermost parts of our beings, we've activated, we've expressed a vitality through the outermost parts of our beings. Take this energy, and what do you want to create with your day?
Our crisis is a birth. What if every person awoke to their unique genius? What if every person on the planet had the opportunity to give their unique gift into a larger field of creativity? Now is our greatest hour. For the first time in history, humanity has a story that has the potential to unite us all. As we embody the natural impulse of evolution within us, we create a powerful field connecting co-creators worldwide in a unique self-symphony of human genius, innovation, and synergy. This is happening now, and we are inviting everyone on the planet to answer the call. This is the breakthrough we have been waiting for. We all are the new story come alive. Ultimately, none of us know the greatness of this vision. It's new. The clue we have from nature is that evolution promotes greater consciousness, greater freedom, and more synergistic order or love. A new reality is emerging for humanity and has the potential to reach an unprecedented level of peace, meaningful engagement, gratitude, and genuine breakthroughs. By uniting our genius, everyone is respected and recognized as irreplaceable creator. Where nature is honored and stewarded with deep care. Act on your deepest yearning to connect. Answer the evolutionary impulse and be on the conscious and creative side of history. Go all the way in unlocking the key to your destiny. There is no greater mission than this, and we can do it together.
Our sincere hearts are with you during this time. We know goodwill, health, and peace find its way to you. Thank you for doing your part in unifying the collective towards a more beautiful vision of what's possible for us all.